Hi, student organization advisors. We hope you're having a great semester so far. We know that this semester looks very different than other semesters at TCU, but we know that you're eager to ensure there's connectivity with the members in the organization that you advise, and that the students are continuing to work towards their mission and goals. My name is Dee Dee Williams-Van, and I'm the Director of TCU Student Organizations Learning and Development. In my role, I have the opportunity to work with um, great student leaders as well as great advisors like you. I've been at TCU for 14 years now in a variety of roles focused on leadership development. I'm passionate about helping to support our students in their journey of leadership, as well as assisting you to ensure that our student organizations are successful in their operations. I was also in our students' very shoes as a student leader of a few organizations at TCU 20 years ago. So I appreciate all of their hard work and energy, as well as what you do as your role as an advisor.
Hi everyone, I'm Sierra Jackson and I'm a first year graduate student in TCU's Higher Education Leadership Program. I'm also a graduate assistant working with Dee Dee in student organizations. So for my undergrad, I attended Texas A&M and was involved as a student leader in organizations, just like the student leaders you're working with. I'm excited to work with you this year and support you in your efforts. Normally, we would have these advisor trainings in person and you would be able to meet other advisors to connect, share best practices, and ask questions. Instead, we are requesting that you watch this video on your own time when it fits with your schedule. After watching this video, you are more than welcome to attend one of our handful of Zoom Q&A sessions we have set up. We can set up a separate meeting or you can send us an email with questions.
Some of you may have been advisors for several years now. So if that's the case and you do not have any follow-up questions after you watch this video, you do not need to attend a Q&A session. If you're a new advisor, however, you will need to attend one of the Zoom Q&A sessions that we have available. And if you have any additional questions, it's a great opportunity to hop in as well. This training is one of the mandatory requirements for student organizations at TCU. So in order to, for you to receive credit for attending, you'll need to fill out the pre-test that was available prior to clicking on this video. And you need to watch this video, and then after watching this video, you'll indicate which of the Q&A sessions that you'll attend if you're a new advisor or if you have questions. So it'll be good to have your calendars ready. And then after that, you'll fill out a post-test after watching the video, which will also be located on TCU Engage. As we know you are all busy balancing your role at TCU and other priorities, we hope this way of providing the training helps you to balance your time this semester. Before we get too far in this training, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for volunteering your time to provide support and guidance to our students' pursuits in their organizations. I know that I'm not able to pay you for your time, and your energy, which I wish I really could, but just know that you're very much appreciated and a necessary component of the success of TCU student organizations.
In today's training, we will cover quite a few things. Tips for you in your role that will lead to success, as well as what is your role and what is the president's role. Types of risk inherent to student organizations, your responsibility when it comes to those risks, and how you can mitigate that. Resources at TCU for you and our student leaders. TCU's policies and procedures when it comes to a variety of different items such as finances, swag for your orgs, media guidelines, and how to reserve space on campus. We will discuss TCU Engage and its many ways to help support organization operations, as well as how our office can best provide you with opportunities and support.
We wanted to share this hypothesis from Baumeister and Leary, and it's the belonging hypothesis, as it greatly pertains to our student organizations. Human beings have a pervasive drive to form and maintain at least a minimum quantity of lasting, positive, and significant interpersonal relationships. Given what is going on in the world right now, this is especially true this semester, that our students are craving that sense of belonging and community. We have stated to our org leaders that the theme of organizations this semester is building community. So we've challenged each one of them on how they can do that with their members and at TCU.
There are a lot of components that go into running student organizations, including but not limited to the items on the screen. Events like reserving spaces and marketing those events, leadership development, finances/banking, dealing with outside vendors, licensing, and speakers, as well as risk management. With that in mind, the student leaders will need your advisement. As there are varying levels of involvement from our advisors on campus, we wanted to reiterate what the student president's role is and what they should be doing versus what you should be doing. The president should be the one to complete the annual registration for TCU, coordinate meetings and events for the org, serve as the contact and respond for the org, communicate with you and the members, provide the vision for the organization, get to know members so that they can think about how to empower them to lead in the future. And then your president will have their finger on the pulse of the members and their morale, so they will know when to focus more on the team and community building.
There are several keys to being a successful student organization at TCU, and we wanted to just make sure you are aware of those. TCU Engage is our online platform for involvement, and all registered in good standing organizations have the opportunity to manage their organization's operations through it. For that reason, it is important for your student organization leaders to update the Engage page frequently, as well as some organizations use a variety of the different functionalities on Engage. So we also know that within organizations, they may use things like Google Docs or spreadsheets saved on leaders' own drives, social media. We're not saying that they should not use those, but chances are there are things on Engage that your org leaders did not know that was there and could be a resource for them. Also, having the org documents on Engage helps when officers transition to ensure that all of those items are being properly transferred over to the next leader. We'll discuss Engage a little bit later in this training as well. In order to maintain the minimum number of students needed to be in good standing with the TCU, the organization needs at least 10 students. We encourage our students to bring in different class years or majors to help with retention and the future of the organization, depending on what membership requirements are. We also recommend that the students go beyond just their friend groups, majors, and those they know to market the organization. As we know, connectivity and consistency is key for student organizations. We really want our students to see each other and build community. For that reason, it's important to have at least one meeting or event at a minimum each month, whether that's on Zoom or another platform or in person. Keep in mind, we do have guidelines about both virtual and in-person events this semester, given our current situation with COVID. We did share those with all of your organization presidents earlier this semester. Money is always a need for our student organizations, and we'll discuss funding options later in this training, but it definitely is a key to being a student organization that's successful. Lastly, and most importantly, the organization's human capital will help make it successful. You are an integral piece of the team. We want to make sure that the leaders are communicating with you and have at least a few meetings with you each semester.
During these last 6 months, we have worked really hard to find ways for your student leaders to maintain connections. They obviously manage their orgs on Engage, but we also created a president's page where we have a variety of resources posted for them. After this training, you will be put into an advisor's page as well. We also have resources on our student organization's website, including a link to an involvement survey for our students, videos for the majority of our orgs, and a variety of other things. Additionally, this semester, we have 2 new additions for presidents to maintain connection: a GroupMe for all presidents and our Wednesday Organization Wisdom, or WOW for short, chats, which occur every other Wednesday. The WOW chats are an opportunity for presidents to connect with one another, learn things from our office, and collaborate with one another. After attending this training, we expect that you will understand the governing policy of Texas State Bill 1138 and its organizational requirements for TCU, be able to identify types of risk associated with organizational participation and how to mitigate those risks, and be aware of campus and community resources to assist you.
Okay, let's talk about State Bill 1138. As you can see here, it mandates that risk management education needs to occur for members and advisors of student organizations registered at post-secondary education institutions. So what that means to you is that we are tasked with providing that education to not only you as our advisors, but our student leaders, and the thought is that they will then share that with their members. As we mentioned earlier, the presidents of your student organizations, they were already required to go through this training earlier this semester. Normally, when we meet in person, we'll ask you to share what you think are some types of risks within student organizations. But as we're not in person today, take a second and consider this question. What could possibly be considered risks within student organizations at TCU? Risk can occur in a variety of different ways within organizations. What we'll focus on today are the following types: alcohol and drug, hazing, discrimination, sexual harassment and assault, firearm and safety issues, student travel, and behavior on and off campus.
When it comes to alcohol, TCU addresses this within its Code of Conduct and Alcohol Policy and can lead to the following consequences: monetary fines, removal from a dorm or organization, and disciplinary action or suspension from TCU. The main things for you to consider is that students cannot purchase alcohol with organization funds, purchase, serve, or sell alcohol to minors, or have alcohol at your organization meetings or events, or participate in drinking games. If your organization is a part of a national or local organization, you may also want to check their policies. Just remember, alcohol has no place within your organization's operations. When it comes to drugs, TCU also addresses that within its Code of Conduct. When we think of drugs, we tend to think about just illegal drugs or controlled substances, but I do want you to also consider over-the-counter medicine. Student leaders or members should not provide anyone else in the organization medicine. Again, keep in mind, drugs in your organization should not mix.
Next, we're going to go over hazing. So I want you to take a minute to consider what is hazing and what are some examples of hazing. According to Texas Senate Bill 24, hazing is anything that endangers the mental or physical health or safety of a student in order to be selected for, initiated into, maintain membership, or hold a leadership position within an organization. If you are aware of hazing going on at TCU, it's your responsibility to report it to our hazing hotline, 817-257-HAZE or 817-257-4293. Every student organization at TCU has agreed to TCU's anti-hazing statement as it is included in each of their constitutions. So what is considered hazing? Hazing can come in a lot of different forms. It can include physical brutality such as hitting, paddling, and branding, physical activities such as sleep deprivation, exposure to the elements, confinement, calisthenics, or any other activity that places the student at unreasonable risk or harm. It also includes any activity that forces or encourages the consumption of food, liquid, alcohol, drugs, or any other substance. Additionally, it can be any activity where a student can experience extreme stress, shame, humiliation, or something that adversely impacts a student from entering and remaining in or leaving an organization. It is important to remember that even if a student consents to hazing, that is not allowed. There should not be any hazing at TCU within student organizations. When we talk to your presidents, we ask them to consider this. There's a difference between intent and perception. Even if one of the organization's activities has the intent of team building or tradition making, it may not be perceived in that way for all members. So please consider all of your activities and processes from recruitment of your members all the way to getting leadership positions to see if anything you're currently doing or plan on doing could be perceived as hazing. If you have questions, feel free to contact our office. In addition to the fact that we would never want any of our students at TCU to feel as if their physical or mental health is endangered, there are a lot of consequences as well, such as large fines and potential jail time if hazing occurs. Again, hazing is not prohibited at TCU. TCU values an inclusive community. As such, TCU prohibits discrimination and harassment on the basis of any identities protected by law. And you can see those on the screen right now. Within our student organization's constitutions, you have all agreed to abide by TCU's non-discriminatory clause in the section where it mentions membership. As the advisor, you should also consider all of the organization's practices to think about whether anything could be considered as discrimination and discuss that with your student leaders. If you're aware of discrimination or harassment, you should contact the Title IX office at 817-257-8228 or email title9@tcu.edu. Sexual harassment and misconduct includes quite a few things, and our student leaders were required to take a training on this when they entered into TCU, and we also know that you took one through HR. So we will not go into a lot of detail about defining each of these terms. But we do want you to know that they include intimate partner violence, dating and domestic, sexual and gender-based harassment, sexual assault, sexual exploitation, and stalking. The reason this is an element of risk for you and your student leaders is to consider that because you're in a position of trust and respect, you might have a student of your organization divulge something to you. We want to ensure that you have the information to share with them. On the next few, we will also provide you all with some resources and services at both TCU and off campus. The TCU campus resources will include things such as TCU Police, Title IX Office, Campus Life, Counseling and Health Center, Counseling Hotline, and the Religious and Spiritual Life Office. The off-campus resources will include things such as the Fort Worth Police contact information, local hospitals, the Women's Center, Safe Haven, and so on. So you'll receive this contact information by email, and we will also save that on the Advisor Engage page.
Fire safety is important at TCU. How this applies to you all in organizations as the advisor is that when you have in-person meetings, you will have a collective group of students together, and you need to ensure that 1, no one sets a fire, everyone evacuates when a fire alarm goes off, no one sets off a false fire alarm, and no one misuses fire safety equipment. As TCU is a private institution, we had the opportunity to decide on whether or not concealed handguns and other weapons were allowed on campus. TCU does not allow the possession, storage, or use of firearms, openly carried or concealed, or other weapons on our property, at athletic events, in our buildings, or on our grounds, or in vehicles. Please note some of those examples of weapons: guns, knives, bombs, martial arts devices, etc. Possession of these may result in expulsion for a student. We asked our TCU Police Department to provide some crime prevention tips for organizations, and here's what they said. To report an emergency, call TCU Police at extension 7777 or utilize your Frog Shield app to alert police, which you should all have downloaded, so go ahead and do that if you have not. Dial 911 from any of the blue light phones on campus. If you're on campus, TCU Police will be here quicker than call 911, so just keep that in mind. As sometimes organization meetings are held later in the evening, students should use a buddy system when walking to their cars or dorms, call Froggy 50 for an escort, and walk along lighted pathways. Also, they should alarm their vehicles. We always recommend if anyone sees something, they should say something.
When it comes to travel, we are not going to go into detail about this during this training, as all university-sponsored travel is suspended now by the university through December. If that changes, we will definitely let you know. We know that some of your organizations are still wanting to do off-campus experiences such as site visits, service opportunities, etc. We know that you need to consider things such as the question of, could any of our processes lead to the potential spread of COVID? And we've told your student leaders this as well. So generally, with any travel of any kind, it might lead to the spread of the virus. So if you have specific questions about travel, feel free to contact us. At TCU, the Code of Conduct is our overarching governing policy, and then comes our student organization handbook. We also want you to know that if your organization is operating within an academic department, is a sport club, a fraternity or sorority life organization, or a religious organization, you'll need to make sure to familiarize yourself with their policies as well. Additionally, if your organization is a part of a national or local organization, they will have policies too. If the national or local policies are ever in disagreement with TCU's policies will be the ones that you need to follow as the organizations are operating on our campus. We know that it's important to have money to operate the organizations at TCU. We wanted to share with you some important things to consider and resources. The sources of income as an organization that you might be aware of already, but if you aren't, there are dues, fundraising, and donations. When it comes to the management of the funds, that is at the discretion of the organization right now. We hope to have some additional policies in place soon regarding this, and we'll keep you updated. Organizations can either create an off-campus bank account or have a departmental account set up through the department the organization is associated with, if that's an option. It is generally a best practice to have 2 signatures on all expenditures and to keep track of expenses in a spreadsheet in your records. We also recommend just kind of full transparency to the rest of your leadership board and members of the current financial status of the organization. We do not recommend the use of PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, as there could be security issues, and then also all organization funds should be separate from personal funds, as there is a fiduciary and legal responsibility to ensure funds are handled correctly. All registered in good standing organizations can apply for funding through SGA. Organizations can apply every semester, but will need to apply, make an appointment for a presentation to the Finance Committee, and then present to them. Our office is more than happy to assist with any questions that you might have about that. And your organizations have already been provided with an email and additional information about the SGA funding process. There's also an opportunity to apply for funds through Frog Funding. It is new as of last year, and if your organization has a specific funding need, this would be a great opportunity. Each month, a committee of TCU staff chooses a handful of organizations or departments to feature, and it's TCU's crowdfunding app. This process is more time-consuming than the application of SGA's funding, so you might want to just keep that in mind.
Since TCU's brand is strong, whether it is our carefully selected purple carpets or emblems throughout campus, we want to protect our brand and ensure it is in line with the approved ways to use our logos and colors. We also know our students want to advertise their orgs through cool swag, and we want to help them with that. They do not need to find a vendor or determine what the design needs to look like beyond their idea. For that reason, not just any company can create TCU swag. For student organizations at TCU, they are required to use an approved vendor, and it actually helps our students as they do not have to go and look for one. Also, they know the approved requirements of TCU's logos and colors to use, so that takes out the guesswork, and they want to help our students. The approved vendor list is located on brand.tcu.edu website. Here are some tips for swag for your leaders. Be upfront about your budget with vendors. The approved vendors on our list will work with you to keep your costs down. Make sure you are being planful and give enough time for the design, order, and receipt of your items. Get creative and have fun. TCU wants to protect students from having to make decisions regarding media, and we also have some strict policies in place to do so. If there's an event that is open to the public, your student needs to let our office know as soon as the event may happen, as the event or a speaker may garner attention from local media. Approval must be obtained at least 2 weeks prior for media to be on campus. Media must be escorted at all times, and they can only gather footage, which includes images, videos, and sound recordings at the location of the event, not anywhere else on campus. For events only open to TCU, outside media cannot attend. Media can only set up on a public sidewalk to capture B-roll footage. Let us know if you have any questions about outside media.
As you know, this semester is different, and meetings and events are occurring both virtually and in person, given our current situation with COVID and the need to protect our community from the potential spread of the virus. If there is an in-person event, we want to ensure it is done so safely. So your student leaders have been provided with the meeting and event guidelines for student organizations document earlier this semester. We have asked them all to review and acknowledge that they will adhere to those policies. To reserve space at TCU, we let your student leaders know that we have a variety of different reservation systems, and also that the capacity of how many people that can be in each room has drastically been reduced since last year. The new capacities of spaces must be maintained. To book space in the blue, which is the Brown Lupton University Union, or the King Family Commons, the Commons itself or at the Founders statue, students will be able to go to union.tcu.edu to book that space. To book space in classrooms or academic buildings, students will go to the registrar's office website. To book space in the rec center, students will go to their website as well. Again, safety is key this semester, so when hosting an in-person event, the following policies have to be followed. Maintain 6 feet between all attendees. They need to wear face coverings over their mouth and their nose. And additionally, safety protocols need to be communicated out to all attendees. And our student leaders, again, need to consider that question of, could any of our processes potentially lead to the spread of COVID? And if the answer is yes, they need to reconsider some of those processes and what can be done. If anyone attending an event does not feel well, they need to stay home. And so just like we do, we need to ensure that our students are also doing health self-checks. As we discussed earlier, it is important for your organization's TCU Engage page to be utilized. And to do that, we want to ensure that you know about the resources that it provides. So we're just going to give a quick overview because there's quite a few neat things. We won't go into a lot of detail right now because you can always join us for an Engage training at another time to learn more. It is important for rosters to be updated with the current students in the organization, removing any students who've already graduated from TCU or they're no longer here or in the organization itself. It is also required to create events for everything being done as an organization, whether that's virtual or in person. We provided a detailed version of how to create an event in the meetings and events guideline document that we sent to your presidents, and we've also emailed out to you. Forms can be created for a variety of things such as applications, surveys, etc. Documents can be saved that could be useful for the good of your group. You can also limit access to some files if you just want the leadership board to be able to see it. There's also a photo gallery option, which is a great place for you to upload organization photos so that they're not only housed on our students' phones or social media, but that there's a true historical record in case you want to use them again in the future. Our office provides a variety of different resources. So trainings, we are happy to come in and do customizable trainings with your organizations around the topics of leadership development, our marketing, event planning, member recruitment, engagement. Also, some of those trainings take place in our WOW chats, which Sierra mentioned earlier. Additionally, as a reminder, we have set up those WOW chats and the GroupMe so that our presidents feel more connected and so that they have an opportunity to share best practices and to be able to get to know one another, to collaborate potentially. TCU Engage is, again, the online platform for our students. So we are here to help with any technology assistance you might need there. And we also provide highlights and event features on social media on TCU_SDS Instagram account every single Wednesday. Some additional opportunities for your organizations are to partner with the crew as well as advertise on what to do at TCU. If you have any questions, please write those down and attend a Q&A session or send us an email. The Q&A sessions are a great opportunity for you all as advisors to connect with one another and to get your questions answered. As a reminder, attending a Q&A session is required for new advisors, but not for returning advisors if you do not have questions. These Q&A sessions should be a minimum of 30 minutes long. We hope this information today was helpful as you advise and support the student organizations you're working with. Please remember that Sierra and I are here to assist you, so if you need anything, feel free to let us know. Go forth and lead, team, and go Frogs!